Hello, lovelies. Excellent to see you again. So, we want to share eating outside of of a of a window, or should say, you have an 8-hour eating window that decides how your body heals, which has been one of the key reasons I've started to reverse a disease the medical industry says is incurable. But eating outside of that window, you might be causing harm that's preventing you from healing. So in this video, we're going to show you how what these optimal healing windows are. And let me start by saying that if you can optimize your healing while you sleep, you're going to have a much bigger difference in your life. So before we show you these optimal healing windows, let me start by saying none of this is medical advice. Rita and I are just sharing what's been working for me in reversing primary progressive multiple sclerosis. So please consult your medical professionals before if you try any of this. So let's just get into it. To start, let me show you how I harmed myself by not eating in this window. And for that, let's go back to our younger years. So if you can remember, back in the 20s, we were just absolutely invincible. We'd go out, we'd party on a Friday, the Saturday. If we get out on Sunday, any chance to get out with friends, we would. We would eat late, stay up late, and just party all the time. But as we got older, I would personally stop. I think a lot of us, we stopped going to the parties. So just be one night out of the weekend instead of both nights. But we'd still eat and drink and do whatever else. But now we're doing it in the comfort of our home because we just don't want to go out. Well, that never really stopped. That as we became adults, we'd still go out for dinners, go out for drinks, go to our friend's place, and we're still eating, drinking, but it's that window that's throwing us off because when we're eating that late at night, where is all that food going? And then what happens when we end up sleeping? That when you sleep, the body slows down. It's no longer time to digest, it's time to repair. But what we've been doing by having a full stomach, body says, I can't leave all that there. And I can't not take advantage of going to sleep. So I need to work on the body in processing the food that's in the system. I also need to work on the body to help heal it and release all the toxins that are there. So what I've discovered was a window, and the question is, what is that window, and how do we find it? So, Rita, can I ask you, like, what is that right window?
I think in the for the healing process, that window, there's like an 8-hour window, right? So generally speaking, you don't want to eat too close to bed because just like you said, the body's in repair mode. It's not in digestion mode. Your digestion mode should be during the day, right? So you pick an 8-hour sort of time frame to eat out of. Sort of like intermittent fasting has become quite popular, right? So just picking like an 8-hour time frame so that you can save the healing process for the evening instead of digestion, like you said.
So so the big thing I've seen from all that is that window. I need enough time that I can wake up and also eat within a certain window and finish within a certain window. But the question is, why is that important? And when it comes to eating, I think, Rita, you said this, that that 8-hour window isn't it for everybody. But given that I'm in healing mode right now, it's important for me. And it really has helped me a lot. Because what happens when we sleep? And this is where we start getting into autophagy, and the body goes into repair mode. So autophagy says that I'm going to start cleaning up all the dead proteins, all the things that your body doesn't need, all the junk that you don't need anymore, and I'm going to remove it. I'm also going to bring in all these building supplies so we can start rebuilding the body, and then it goes into repair mode. So it's like thinking like Walt Disney World. You know, once the park is closed, we got to clean everything up. But then the repair crew has to go out and start repairing all the rides for the next day. And that's exactly what happens to us when we sleep, that our body goes into this repair mode. It cleans it all up, just like an amusement park. Then it goes in repair mode and starts bringing all the materials, all the building blocks. It restocks all the shelves and gets it ready for the next day. And that has been pivotal for my healing. But the problem is, what if you're trying to clean the amusement park and there's still people inside? How can you still have people on the ride, still have people during the day that it's filled in the amusement park and clean up and repair? Well, if we have food in our systems and it still needs to be processed, that means our bodies can't go necessarily into full repair mode. So the question now then is, how do we get the body prepared to how to get that park empty so that we can start getting into repair mode? And that is two things. One is we got to empty the park. And in our bodies, we need to empty our systems. So the two primary ones in our systems are sugars and protein. And because if we have those two on our systems, there's just too much glucose in the body. There's too much energy. It needs to get rid of that energy before the body can go into autophagy, which is the cleanup crew. So that means, what is sugar? So Rita, what's included in all sugars?
That could be anything from simple sugar, like your regular sugar that you put in your coffee type thing, to like carbohydrates. So like, going back to your story of like being a teenager and having, whatever, a pizza and then going to bed, no problem, right? Try that as an adult. Most likely you'll wake up in the middle of the night with heartburn or like whatever, right? Just doesn't work the same. Yeah. So anything carby would fit into that sugar category.
So, and that was something like, trying to eat that way. So I might not be going out to party, but I'm ordering pizzas and bringing pizza in, and I'm eating that at home. So trying to empty the stomach or having a full stomach, eating late at night, even just eating, not giving myself enough time for that food to be processed. And even at nighttime, what do a lot of us do? That we're watching TV. We'll either even get some popcorn, we'll get some chips, we'll get some chocolate. So now our body's full of glucose. And even if you have that pizza and you have protein in your body, you still got to empty it out. So a great way of cleanup, to enter into autophagy, to get into that cleanup mode, we want to have our bodies void and removed of the sugars and the proteins. And one of the best ways to do that is actually fasting. And you could fast a dry fast or a wet fast, and that could go for 12 hours, 18 hours, a day, 2 days. So you can go on a big fast and your body will go into autophagy, and it will really start cleaning up all the diseased material that's in your body. But do we need to go to that extreme? Now we're creating a 3-day window. Well, that's not a window that we can live off. So what is something more respectable? And you might have heard of something called intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting says, if you eat within an 8-hour window, you give yourself a few hours before bed to allow your system to empty out. Then your body will go into autophagy. Then if you do that consistently day after day after day, you will continue to be able to go into autophagy. But there's a certain type of diet that, now I'm doing a keto diet, but in general, Rita, does everyone have to go into a keto diet in order to enter in ketosis? How should somebody eat so that they can have a clean body before going to bed?
So, okay. So everyone is unique, right? Everyone is different. So does everybody need to be in ketosis for healing? Maybe. It really depends, right? Everybody is so different. So sometimes even small changes are going to make a big effect on the body. And then, like in Khan's case, he already did all the small stuff. He already eliminated the sugars. He already eliminated all that stuff. So he had to go further and further and this is why finding that in ketosis for him is what worked for him. And I think for a lot of autoimmune conditions, there is benefit to going into ketosis or keeping your body in ketosis so that it can heal. But you also need to be mindful of, you don't just go, decide tomorrow I'm going to go and go into ketosis, right? Like it's a process. Everything's a process. You never want to shock your body into doing anything. So, if your question is, do you need to be in ketosis to have a good sleep? Not necessarily. I think definitely, not having stuff in your digestive system for your body to work on. Yes. Like, pick, what do you want your body to do? You want it to digest, or you want it to detox and repair and do all the things it needs to do? So, so I kind of look at it that way. Definitely, I see Brendita here mentioning she had ice cream before bed last night, and that didn't go too well for her. So, so as we get older, we most likely are not going to be able to get away with what we used to get away with in terms of, what we're putting into our bodies. Mm-hmm. And also part of it, maybe as we get older, is that we're listening more to our body, right? So it could also be that's part of it. We're now familiar. We understand our body, or our body talks to us, and we're actually listening now.
Yeah, because if we think about what happens when the body's going to sleep and you enter into autophagy, that's cleaning up those proteins, the pathogens, bacteria, fungus, viruses, mold, all that stuff that causes inflammation. And when the body is in inflammation, it's not a happy place. And that's when disease and issues and damage happens to us. And as we get older, forget about even if you have a disease or not. It's just now your body's in inflammation. It's not healthy. It can't repair as easily. And it's also stuck. And now when the body's in inflammation, you got to think everything's all puffed up. So that's like a really crowded amusement park. And if they're trying to bring in all these supplies in, but the park is packed, you can't bring the supplies to the way it needs to. So just like our body, if the body is unable to deliver what it needs to, it can't clean up what it needs to, and it can't restock the shelves as it needs to. This is why autophagy really helps. Entering autophagy, you can get really better at it. Now, we're always going to be in autophagy. It's just different levels. And ketosis is one of the ways that I'm doing in terms of healing the body, because I need to, especially in terms of extremes. As it's doing that, I'm also reducing my sugar intake. So now the body's no longer operating on glucose. I don't have to really regulate when I'm eating, because my body is always in that 8-hour window. It's in ketosis. I'm keeping my carbs low. I'm keeping my proteins. It's not low because I'm on a high protein diet, but it's still rather moderate. What I'm keeping high is my fats. Now, the fat, in terms of burning it up, when the body needs to burn things up, it's burning the reserves. It burns up the glucose. Once the glucose is done, then it goes after the fat. If you then have fat in your body, then the ketosis is going to need to burn off what's in your body first. And then when we start eating, I'm moving away from a carnivore diet into a more whole foods diet. So that means I'm not adding in carbs. I'm adding in just a little bit of carbs. So my carbs won't be more than 10 grams in a day. And that's a clinical ketosis. I'm keeping it very, very low. I'm not having any sugars. If anything, I won't have more than 2 grams of sugar in my bloodstream at any one point, so that the body doesn't necessarily come out of ketosis. And I'm keeping it in ketosis so that when I go to sleep, I don't got to worry about burning off. This is especially true if you're able to move, work out, walk, you're able to burn all those things much easier. Me being in a wheelchair most of the time, my walking is an extreme minimum. So I don't really get the opportunity to burn off, but you can, if you're healthier, you're able to burn things off. And going back and just touching on the fasting, if you decide to do a fast and do a dry fast or a water fast, a dry fast is actually 3 times faster than a water fast. in order to get yourself into that ketosis. But something you can do, your last meal, think about keeping it pretty low and drinking water instead. But what's water? So, Rita, there's definitely, if you think about certain vegetables or certain meals, what's more a heavier water based meal that would be better for nighttime?
Um, Anything vegetable based, really. Like you can do soups and stir fries, and just vegetables in general are a great way to get fluids in, water in. Juicing, I guess, if you like juicing in the evening.
So, so then, all right. So to keep the body in, get the body into more of a keto state, or at least to empty out the body so that you can be in this 8 hour window, or at least within a window that your stomach is clear, so you can start getting into a sleep that doesn't have proteins or sugars. So you can have a deeper sleep so autophagy can kind of kick in. So then, how, Rita, can you optimize your healing while you sleep? Like, what are the things that we need to consider and look at for these sleeps that might disrupt us?
Yeah, so I think, like we're saying, sleep is super important in terms of healing. So it doesn't matter what just you don't have to have a disease, but you still want to sleep well. Your body still needs to do its building and repairing. And, it might be easy enough for us to just say, like, just get some sleep, right? That should be good. But for a lot of people, there might be things that maybe interfere with good sleep, right? So it's different for everyone. So maybe you have an overactive mind. Maybe you have hormone issues, right? So maybe you get warm at night, or maybe you have like thyroid issues, which wakes you up earlier than you would normally, the average person would normally wake up. So there's so many things that can lead to a sleep that's not a really great sleep. And so actually, I want to post that question out to the audience. Those of you that maybe don't have the best sleep, what is going on? What is interrupting your sleep, right? Is it your hormones? Is it you're too hot? Is it, I don't know, could be many things, right?
I could even say it's all the above. Like,
It's all of, yeah, it could be
we
any
just
of
had a
the
heat
above,
wave
right?
here.
And sometimes there's an easy fix. Sometimes it's like, you know what, people who take magnesium before bed helps them get into a deeper sleep. It helps relaxes the body. And maybe that's all someone needs, right? But then there's someone else that's taking magnesium already and they're like, I still can't sleep, my 6-8 hours, whatever the number is. Or not even it's the number of hours, it's how do you feel when you wake up? So even if you're sleeping 10 hours and you wake up and you feel crappy, well, that's not a good sleep, right? Because there's something going on and where your body's not actually getting that deep sleep that it needs. So so sometimes it's simple things that can help you sleep, and sometimes it's there's more complicated issues going on, and and then those things need to be addressed so that you can actually get to the point where you're getting a good sleep.
Yeah, a few days ago it was hot, and the heat affects the inflammation in my spine. So I needed to essentially cool my back with the blanket off. Before I used to use ice packs years ago, but at least now that I just had to cool my back off a bit to get comfortable. And then last night I woke up around 3 a.m. and my mind was very active. And if I just tuned into my mind or stay with my mind, it would continue to be really active. But as I know through meditation, by putting my mind and shifting it to my breath and just following my breath, I was able to distract my mind enough that the body went back to sleep rather quickly. So you were mentioning, I don't know about hormones for myself, but definitely with heat and an active mind is affecting my sleep, that the body is unable to really go into autophagy.
So the 3 o'clock time frame is actually really interesting. A lot of people wake up around 3 o'clock, people that aren't good sleepers. And I think that could be a number of things. So traditionally, the first thing that will pop into my mind if someone says they constantly wake up at 3 o'clock, well, then there could be like an adrenal issue. So like cortisol. So we're going back to hormones. So maybe like they just have high cortisol, and it's, at nighttime, this cortisol should be decreasing, not increasing, right? Decreasing so that you can sleep. And so sometimes people just need to support the adrenals if it's happening all the time, like if 3 o'clock is the time you wake up. If it's the off chance, like you're saying last night you woke up, then it could be a further, so your body's detoxing until about 2-ish. So maybe your body wasn't fully done detoxing, and so it wakes you up to it. Sometimes the wake up is just to tell you something's not right, right? So especially if there's inflammation. A lot of people that have a lot of inflammation or like an inflammatory condition going on, the body has a hard time sleeping. Why? Because the body keeps telling you, like, is trying to get your attention to tell you there's something wrong, right? So even though you tell your body, like, I know there's something wrong, just have a nice sleep, right? So that you can heal. But yeah, so I feel like for you, perhaps it could have been more of like, it was in a detoxing mode, wasn't quite finished, and it's kind of woke you up to let you know, right, that further detoxing maybe needs. And actually, having said that now, we ran out of your antioxidant for the liver. And so I think you might not have had your liver supplement last night. So that could be part of it too, right? So
Maybe. Yeah.
Complete detox.
Yeah. Well, I see Marigold Energies is saying, I usually wake up around 4 a.m. and have a hard time getting back to sleep until 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll go through that cycle as well. Sometimes it's spirit trying to communicate with us.
Yeah.
So if I'm waking up at 3, 4 a.m., and I typically wake up every few hours because my body needs to urinate or shift or turn, that's just how my body's operating right now. But I will ask, like, if there's a message for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tune in to spirit and see, okay, is there a message for me? If it's just complete silence and I'm not getting anything, that can frustrate me, at least, or frustrate you quite a bit. And then maybe shift back to the breath and focus on your breath to get back to sleep. Because again, at that area, to get the body back into that repair mode, and talking about that 8-hour window, that's why I eat in that 8-hour window. And every time when I look at my journals, when I sleep, and even though I'm waking up every 2-3 hours, it's repairing. And when instead of me, and sometimes I might get an idea in my head, and I might get a thought. I know I'm not going to remember in the morning, so I do grab my phone and I write it down. If I stay on my phone, that's going to mess me up. But I do some other things to my phone to keep the red light high and the brightness really dim, so it doesn't wake me up completely. So I'll write down that message. I'll tune in with the guides and see what's there. And so I don't get distracted, I make sure I don't watch anything or do anything that's a dopamine hit. And that if I like YouTube shorts, if I try to fall asleep with the YouTube short, that's the kiss of death. That's just going to keep me so hopped up. I'll be up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it will just kind of bother you. I see you saying I haven't tried my breath work. That resonated with, yeah. So as simple as just put your mind, feel your breath coming in through your nose, going in through your nasal passages, feel yourself exhaling out, and just feel your breath, and just distract your mind. That's the same thing that we do in meditation, and it's why we say put your mind on your breath, feel it coming into your body, feel it leaving, and just stick with that. And more often than not, I pass out really quickly because I'm not giving my mind a dopamine hit. I'm giving my mind something really boring. Why don't you watch this paint dry? And why don't you watch this breath coming in your nose and leaving? It's ridiculously boring, but you will fall asleep if you wake up in the middle of the night, so that your body can go back in that repair mode. So did you want to add anything else to that issue of not sleeping, Rita? Is there anything that we missed on that?
I think, yeah, I mean, there's just so many tangents I can go on, but I think the other thing that I think needs to be said about poor sleep, if someone is like truly having poor sleep, all the time, is to work on the gut. So like something like 90% of your gut makes serotonin, which then converts to melatonin, right? So if your gut is imbalanced for whatever reason, it will definitely show you in your sleep. That could be one way. Obviously, it can show you digestively speaking, but I find if sleep is a sort of like an issue for you, you've tried the magnesium, you've done the breath work, you've kind of like, you have your dark room, you've done all the things that you think you need to do to get a good night's sleep, and still it's still not happening, then you might want to look at gut health. I think that's a big one for.
Beautiful. So I want to answer a few questions, and I just want to touch on that 8-hour window and make sure it's clear. So what it is that I'm working on is intermittent fasting. When I wake up, my stomach is still empty. When I wake up, the first thing I put into it is water. So I'm still staying in that fasted state. My fast doesn't necessarily break until 10:30, 11:30 when I have my first meal. And once I have that meal, now the body is processing, it's breaking down, it's got something to do. In the afternoon, I'll have more tallow or fat. And then the last meal is like 5 o'clock. So my window of eating is within 6 to 8 hours. And then typically I have about 2 to 3 hours before I actually go lie down in bed, and 3 hours before I fall asleep. So that gives enough time for the glucose, the protein to exit out of the body. So I'm giving it the best chance. While you're sleeping, you're in that ketogenic state. You're entering into autophagy. You stay in that keto state into the morning, and so the body can continue to detox, to clean, and begin to repair what's not happening. What's the I know you say this often, Rita, in Chinese medicine. What are the repair windows at nighttime in
11 to 2 in the Chinese medicine clock. So 11 to 2. Not to say that it doesn't go further than that, but those are the best times for the body to go into detox.
That's the
and
body.
repair.
And then there's more times after that, isn't it? Like for the mind as well, because I think the mind is like 4 to 6 or something.
No, because no, it's 11 to 2 for liver, gallbladder. Actually, the lung and the large intestine are from 4 to 6. So lung first, and then 6 to 8 is sort of the large intestine. So yeah, there's not really one specific for mind. The closest thing in Chinese medicine for mind would be like the heart, and that would be like noonish.
Right. Now, is that just for, because I go even earlier, because I want to be asleep by 10.
Yeah.
I'm in bed by 9, asleep by 10, because I am healing this body. And as I said in my journals, when I look at my journals and I look at what worked for me, and I say I went to bed this, I woke up this is how my sleep was. Every time I keep myself asleep, when I wake up in the middle of the night, because I do wake up 3 to 4 times a night, because I am incontinent and the body wakes up or the body needs to shift. So I'm waking up frequently. But if I get on my phone and disrupt that break and break one of those hour windows, the healing windows during sleep, I see in my journals that it's because of sleep as one of the number one rules. So this is why we're saying sleep is so ridiculously important. And eating within that window, when you're looking at healing, keeping that body in ketosis, getting into that intermittent fasting, being mindful of the food, really makes a world of difference when it comes down to healing. And it's going to be more prevalent as we get older, because we're no longer invincible as kids anymore. We no longer can party our butts off all night and eat anything that we want. We know that. You know that. We can't do that anymore. So, and eventually the body's going to do its best to keep up with it, but it won't. So Yeah, there's there's that part, but we're not done yet. We've got some great questions to get through here. What do we have? Some questions here, hon. We have one here. Everyone from Pamela that's asking what a dry fast is. Okay, so fasting in general means that you're not going to eat for so long. The wet fast is you just have water. That's all you're going to drink is water. A dry fast is you don't eat and you don't drink. So no food or water. A dry fast is not meant for someone that's in healing mode. If you're in a strong, healthy body, then great, do a dry fast. But if you're in healing mode, like I am to reverse a disease, then fasting, dry fasting, it happened naturally because I was doing one meal a day. Sometimes I couldn't eat for 48 hours for whatever reason, and it naturally happened that I went into a fast. But I'd still be drinking, and I'd still be hydrating the body because that hydration needs to get rid of the toxins. Oftentimes, when it comes down to health, it means their bodies are imbalanced, heavy toxins, non-native electromagnetic field exposure like Wi-Fi and cell phones and internet and artificial lighting. So we need to remove all that and allow the body time to heal on that. Brendita is asking, would it be ever better to juice in the evening, morning, or both? Rita, what do you say about that?
That's a good question. My feeling is morning is sort of better, especially if you're coming out of a fast. So even if you're, not doing an intermittent fast per se, but you slept 8 hours, you've still fasted for 8 hours. So I feel like juicing in the morning, we're talking about vegetable juicing. I think it just floods the body with nutrients. So it's just a great way to start the day, give the body energy to do what it needs to do during the day. So my preference is morning. I don't know. I guess you could do whatever,
I would say the
but
same
honestly,
thing.
I think my preference would be morning.
Yeah, we had that as in our own experience too. So definitely allowing the body, think about that, again, that 8 hour window. As soon as you add, if we're talking about intermittent fasting, when you have that first meal, and to me, that is a meal because your body needs to process it. Juicing, we like doing juicing over doing a smoothie because a smoothie has fibers, it's got other things in it that the body then needs to break down. Juicing was good because you drink it, it bypasses the stomach, goes into the intestines, and the intestines absorb all the nutrients. And that's where juicing is. Again, we're doing it for healing, and it was to flood the body with nutrients in the morning. So now, as Rita said, it's giving you energy. And as we start that clock, that 8 hour window, we're now filling the body with nutrients, with energy, with life, because we're talking about living vegetables now. Living fruit is now coming into the body, and it's literally giving life into yourself. And then, of course, keep it within the 8 hour window. It's very easy to do. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's the late night dinners, going out with friends. Hey, go out with your friends, but maybe just have some Perrier water. Maybe just have water. You say, hey, I'm on a fast. I'm just doing a water fast right now. So, but it still doesn't prevent you from hanging out with friends. Even if you just have a drink and you're having a sip of water and you're drinking water, you might pee a lot. Well, that's good because you're flushing all that stuff out, which means, again, you're doing autophagy throughout the day, cleaning up. It's like having a big party. Imagine having a party inside your house and you're not cleaning up as the party is going on. You got to wait until everybody's gone before you get a bulldozer out to clean up all that garbage. It's going to take forever. So this is why when we're drinking lots of water, I'm drinking 3 liters a day myself. I could probably drink more, but for me, that's what I need, 3 liters, and that works. So juicing, do the day, allow it to start your 8 hour window. Especially if you're in healing. And as Rita said earlier, the 8 hour intermittent fasting, the 8 hour window isn't for everybody, but it is for me specifically because I am in healing mode. And if you are too, consider the 8 hour window. And then your body will repair while you sleep. We got a question from Marigold Energy again, and she's asking about particular magnesium that is better for sleeping. Yeah, there's a few types of magnesiums, right, Rita?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So the magnesium glycinate, or sometimes it has the BIS in front, bisglycinate. So the glycinate version is the better version to help with, relaxing the nervous system and better for sleep, even stress, muscle stress or strain, that kind of thing. So if you want to use it for sleep, then go with the glycinate version. And you might, you can start with just like one capsule or so, but don't be afraid to increase it to whatever dosage you need. So sometimes, people will take anywhere from 400 to 800 milligrams, depending on where they are in their healing journey. So, if you're taking just one and you're not noticing any difference, like maybe go up to 2, right? And then, just try increasing it to whatever you're comfortable with, but at least I'd probably say at least up to 400.
Now, can't taking too much magnesium loosen your bowels?
So the magnesium citrate is the one that will affect bowel. So it sort of irritates the bowel. So that one is better for someone who's more on the constipated side. So if you are looking to pick a magnesium and you're more prone to constipation, you can try the citrate version during the day, let's say, and then the glycinate version at nighttime to help you sleep. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Babette she's asking, is it okay to have a cheat day? So this isn't about being ridiculously strict on anything. As we've always said, it's the flow of life, and follow what works for you. And if you're intermittent fasting, doesn't mean this is what I do. I got to be rigid. That's the only thing I can do. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a cheat day, but if you're out with friends again and it is your birthday and there is a slice of cake there or there's a cheesecake, there's something that excites you, great, have it. Just remember what is going to happen. It's consistency over being perfection every time. So if you decide to have a cheat meal, not a cheat day, because a cheat day, what does that entail? Like you're just, I'm going to go to McDonald's first. I'm going to put syrup on everything. I'm just going to drink all these smoothies and that are just full of sugar. Like that's you're just going to put your body into shock. So just don't deny yourself. If it's there, enjoy. You don't have to beat yourself up and feel guilty about it. If you have it, enjoy it. And Rita actually teaches quite a bit about the relationship with food. You want to touch on that, Rita?
Yeah, sometimes I think we want to follow something so badly, and then we beat ourselves up when we're not able to follow through, right? So I was even thinking with the intermittent fasting, where it's like, okay, we say an 8-hour window, and I've had clients that would be like, well, let's say they've chosen 12 to 8 as their time frame for eating. Well, I'm sometimes I'm hungry at 11:30. So start eating at 11:30. It's totally fine. Like we're talking half an hour. Even if she said, okay, I'm hungry now at 11. Great. Start at 11, right? So it's not about perfection. There is no perfection. It's just listen to your body and do the best you can. You're going to know when you're sort of off track or you need to do a little better. But I think for the most part, once you have a routine down, it's fairly easy. It's no longer thinking, right? Even for ourselves, like it was a transition for not only Con, but for me, because my style of eating is not his style of eating. And so now that, in the beginning, it was like a challenge for me. It's like, well, okay, now I need to prepare this in certain times and blah, blah, blah. But now it's just a routine. Like it's just part of the day. There's no thinking. It's just, this is how we do things now. And so once it becomes a routine, I feel like it's not so much there's not so much thinking involved. You just follow through.
Yeah. And And I've been doing this for well over a year now, and it started out with the food, and then I layered in the next thing, and I layered in the next thing, and now we're a year and a quarter doing this. My body has healed the most within since January,
Yeah.
when you guys saw me, and I mentioned that I was in bed for 23 hours a day, and this I was already in ketosis, but it was all the other layering and all the other things that we want to show you. But ultimately, eating in your optimal window for better sleep and repair won't matter if your body's internal clock is out of sync. So we'll say watch the next video and join us next week if you want to see how to kickstart your healing the moment you wake up. With that, thank you all. We will see you next week. Much love.